Welcome back to the Britannia Coin Company. We're a coin dealer based in Royal Wootton Bassett in the UK. Now, coin collecting is such a varied hobby with so many countries, eras and denominations of coins to collect that it's quite easy for a spread of misinformation to get around. In today's video we're going to be trying to tackle some of the more common misconceptions of coin collecting. We'll start with a fairly recent coin. This is the commemorative 50 pence, which was put into circulation in 2022 to mark the death of our Queen. It became the first circulating coin with the portrait of our new king, King Charles III, on the obverse or head side of the coin. The design reuses the imagery minted onto the coronation crowns back in 1953 at the start of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, so it's a fitting tribute to release a memorial coin to mark a life spent in service to her people using an image from the first of her coinage. So what's the misconception about this 50p then? It is the date. So many people are reaching out to say that they have one which doesn't have a date on it, an undated coin. Firstly, not all coins have a date on the reverse or tail side. Sometimes it's on the obverse or head side where the date appears. On this coin though, it is actually on the reverse. It's well hidden in the design, but if you look to the bottom, either side of the leek representing Wales on the coin, you can see 2022 on it. Sticking with dates, if we look at this coin, which was minted to mark the UK's presidency of the Council of Ministers, it is a dual dated coin. You can see at the top 1992 and 1993. This is a dual dated coin because the UK's presidency spanned across these 2 years, and thus the coin was released in both years, which makes this a rather unique coin. There were also very few released into circulation, so they were quite rare to find as well. But there are other coins with multiple dates on them, but that doesn't make them special. The Kew Gardens 50p for instance, to the right you can see the year of minting 2009, but to the left 1759, the year that the Botanical Gardens at Kew was first opened. There is actually a later reissue in 2019 which has that year on the obverse too, so a triple dated coin? Well, not really. What about Magna Carta on the £2 coin, which not only has the year of minting in 2015, but also the year the historic agreement was signed? Basically, a coin might have multiple years in the design, but this is very different from the EU Presidency 50p, which we looked at first. Simply having multiple years on a coin does not automatically make it valuable or rare. We already touched on the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and another myth that seems to be gaining some traction is the idea that now she has passed away and we have a new king, is that all her coins will be recalled and replaced with new ones bearing the portrait of King Charles III. This is not true at all. Some people have been stockpiling coins with the Queen on them, hoping that they'll become rare and sought after if removed from circulation entirely. It is understandable why some people believe that this will happen, as for many of us born after decimalisation, where the UK scrapped the old system of currency of pounds, shillings and pence in favour of the decimal system we use today, we're used to only seeing Queen Elizabeth II on our coins. This is though simply that since the switch over to our current system of currency, there has been no other monarch to be minted onto our coins. If you look back to before decimalisation, it wouldn't have been out of the ordinary to find a range of different monarchs on regular circulating coins. Naturally, some of the Queen's coins will be removed, whether by collectors for their collections, or because they've been damaged and will need replacing, or those that get lost down the backs of sofas, or perhaps even eaten by washing machines. But there are no active plans to remove the coins with Queen Elizabeth II on them to replace them with coins featuring our new king. These coins of her reign will be around for many years. The coins of Queen Elizabeth II would only need to be totally replaced if there is a whole redesign of a denomination, like we saw in 2017 with the old £1 coins. This denomination was replaced with a new coin, which then required all of the previous ones to be withdrawn and replaced with new ones. But we're not aware of this happening anytime soon with any of the other denominations currently circulating. If we stick to the £1 coins, again many people believe that because they are no longer used in circulation, with many having been returned to the Royal Mint and melted down to be reused to make the bimetallic £1 coins we use today, again people make the common mistake thinking that this means that they must be rare and valuable. Unfortunately again, this isn't correct, and although there are some, like the Edinburgh City's £1 coin, which is actually rather rare with a decent price tag, the majority of them were very common and remain readily available in large enough quantities that there isn't much of a value over £1 for many of them. In fact, pre-decimal coins are still very, very common, despite them not being used for over 50 years in circulation. So just because a coin is no longer used in circulation doesn't guarantee it's a highly desirable collector's piece. What about silver pre-decimal coins then? It is once again a common mistake to think that coins that look silver are made of silver. Now there certainly are plenty of coins that were actually made of silver, but for many years before decimalization they were made with non-precious metals. It's the coins before 1947 which are going to be 50% silver, and then before 1920 for coins which will be sterling silver. So any of the silver looking coins you will find minted from 1947 onwards, they will be cupronickel, the same metal that a modern 50p is made of. New pence next. We have spoken about new pence coins so frequently, but it still seems to be rather confusing for some. When the UK went decimal to help in the transition to these new coins, they were all minted with new pence to the top, or new penny for the 1p coins. This lasted until 1981, so from 1982 onwards, coins should state their denomination, so 1 penny, 2 pence, 5 pence, and so on. There are some examples like the 1983 new pence 2 pence coin, which is a rather rare and valuable error. But if you have a decimal coin dated 1981 or earlier, they should all be titled new pence or new penny. This is very common and you'll find plenty of these, especially on the coppers, which have remained unchanged in their sizes since the adoption of these new coins. So if you find a coin that does say new pence, now you know, check the dates, because reading as new pence doesn't guarantee it's a rare or valuable coin. Another common misconception is that coin collecting is an expensive hobby. It's probably something you'll hear from someone who's not an avid collector themselves. And it is true that there are some very rare and valuable coins, or some made of expensive precious metals, which yes, make that part of the hobby rather expensive. But coin collecting is actually more affordable than you might think. On a basic level, if you're not using plastic cards for your purchases, simply keeping coins that you find in your change costs you nothing more than the value that you can spend them at. Of course, if you keep all your interesting coins, it will add up over time, but a whole collection of Olympic 50p's, which are a very popular set, only adds up to £14.50 in face value. Of course, they are worth more than that to a collector, but they are still out there in your change waiting to be found. As I've said, there are plenty of older coins in huge quantities still available, even Roman coins, which are so numerous that you can start a collection for very little money. Wider international coins too, perhaps brought back from a holiday, are a great and cheap way to start collecting interesting ranges of coins. The Royal Mint has been making our coins for over 1,000 years, and they've got quite good at doing it. But every now and again they make the odd mistake. Error coins are a part of coin collecting which creates lots of misconceptions with people. From the basics of thinking that a damaged coin is a mint error, or that a slight anomaly will make a coin very, very valuable. Like the dots around the portrait of the Queen on a £2 coin being slightly misaligned, or slight die chip errors leaving small bits of extra metal on the design. These are some errors that are technically errors, but they don't add value because they're so prevalent. Things like edge inscriptions on a £2 coin being upside down though are simply fake news. The edge inscriptions are put onto blanks before they are struck and become coins. This means that there's a 50-50 chance which way round the edge inscription ends up. At a stretch you might get away with calling these variations, and a completionist collector might want the lettering both ways round, but there is no right or wrong way for an edge inscription to be, so it's definitely not an error and it's definitely not rare. With errors, a bit of research is always worthwhile doing, or speaking to some more experienced collectors to get their opinions, but not just looking on eBay though, because there are plenty of rogues trying to fool people. And that's one of the biggest areas where people have misconceptions about coin collecting. What is the value of a specific coin? Quite simply, a coin is worth what another collector is willing to pay for it to add it to their collection. A lot of the time, people who maybe aren't coin collectors themselves will find a coin that looks interesting, have a look online, online, and they will find versions of that coin listed for crazy prices on certain websites. We've made a whole range of videos dedicated to debunking some of these crazy prices. You just have to remember that just because a coin is listed at a price doesn't mean it's worth that, and it doesn't mean it's going to sell at that price. We'd love to know in the comments what are some of the coin collecting misconceptions that you've seen people fall for, or maybe something that you believed when you first started collecting coins yourself. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free to do and it means you won't miss out on any of our future uploads. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where we post lots of pictures of our coins. We're on Twitter and TikTok. We have our shop and online store, and I'll see you next time for more amazing coins from the Britannia Coin Company.